Hey guys, it's Foxkey, and I don't really want this to be a long video. Hell, I wasn't even going to make this video. But recent events within the walls of Hoyoverse have only really brought me questions and confusion as to what their plan is with Genshin's future. So this article, to summarise, is literally just a repeated slurry of no, we aren't going to do that, or no, we don't have plans for that, with maybe one, okay, we'll do that, maybe. With the problem of new players lacking some interactions with important characters in the story, like Scaramouche with unreconciled stars, etc. First question is, why would you do this? Surely you can detect the trend of the questions when they're asked about Endgame, and if you knew what you were going to say before answering, how did you not see the storm hiding behind it? For now, I'll leave that unanswered because frankly I don't care. What I do care about is this. If we design another type of permanent endgame content that is similar to the Spiral Abyss, it might end up creating excessive anxiety for our players. Not everyone is interested in Musk Reef. Right, okay. The thing about this statement, it's partially true, but it's also just really shitty. Hoyo is inevitably right that not everyone maxes the Abyss each time it rotates, but that shouldn't be some righteous justification for not even making combat-related content. It doesn't even have to be hard, it just has to be involved. As in, I want to actually use the characters that you, Hoyo, spent time designing and refining. Also, I won't ridicule you if Genshin does give you some sort of anxiety when they add new content, but I'm pretty confident in saying that it isn't coming from Genshin itself. Rather, it's coming from some competitive fallacy in the single-player game where you feel like other players' achievements make your efforts minute. And being someone who's experienced that in other games, I can tell you that it goes away, but you have to be aware of it and actually seek out to better your personal view of yourself. That's my advice. Okay, now I can be annoyed. Hoyoverse. I'll buy it. Let's say your target audience really is only casual players that would rather explore, play story, do commissions, and maybe spend resin each day. The fact that half of those actions are inevitably committal actions towards bettering oneself for combat-related content should tell you that it's a prevalent factor of Genshin as a game. So why do you feel it's okay to alienate the portion of your player base that joined because of your unique and somewhat advanced combat systems? Because there's a slight risk that people will get anxiety because they aren't ready? It's just not your fault. The worst bit is that to some extent, it already is designed around combat. They have dedicated combat designers in their dev team who are clearly just wasting their time, designing intricate mechanics for things like Ocean Hued Clam Set and premium weapon effects. It's just so much work for no reason, because truly, without combat content, this is a waste of dev time. Making these characters with lengthy descriptions and optimal gear and patterns that take advantage of complex mechanics to shine, it's nothing without actual content to use it in, so why do it? Based on research, I only found one answer, and it's actually from Jeff. Basically, the idea is that Hoyo is trying to monopolize an aspect of gaming by making multiple different gacha games that have different focuses regarding genre and content. So if Genshin players want an endgame, but never get it, they'll inevitably play Zenless Zone Zero, for example, which for the time being seems more combat-oriented. Now, let me tell you why this plan is flawed. Yes, it's right to assume that Genshin players are more likely to get roped into Star Rail and ZZZ, but are they going to spend? Inevitably, that's the goal of a free-to-start gacha game. Once you start spending, you're officially a customer. Here's the thing, though. Unless you have some sort of gambling problem, MTash, you probably just won't, and it all stems from this article and things like it. The problem with Hoyo's plan is that, inevitably, all their games are under the same roof, and if you hate the devs, which they're giving you a pretty bloody good reason to because of how they treat you as a Genshin player, you're less inclined to give them money, and will only play their game because you think it looks cool. As a result, Hoyo's actually getting robbed to keep their other games going. Is this a problem for them? Well, no, not really. The money they've already gathered from Genshin alone is probably enough to keep their entire team afloat no matter what happens. It's just that I don't see their plan working in a favourable way over just simply this neutral way, where nobody really benefits in the end. Of course, we as players have to not willingly step into their trap. If you're still spending after this article, you are part of the problem, because it shows nothing but a massive middle finger to everyone who's played the entire game, combat included, and not just the story. As a final note, I know CN can't play for more than like 3 hours a week, but here's the thing. We have Western and Chinese versions of the game. They're separate clients. If they weren't, we wouldn't have differing censorship, and we'd all be required to use the new Jean, Rosario, Amber, and Mona skins outside of the story. So there's just no excuse to not give more combat content to Western audiences specifically if it really doesn't stand to benefit the Chinese audience. Which seems like alienation in itself, but if they don't have time to play it until they're 18, I can see there being less of a point. The backlash from this event seems significant, so I'm just going to keep it in the back of my head that something may happen in response to this uproar, but my hopes aren't high personally. I hope you take my word, and other people's word, if you haven't quit this game already, which I wouldn't blame you, this company is pretty bad at times. Stop spending. That's really the only way this uprising will mean anything in the long run. But I hope you have a good rest of your day. I'll make another video if need be, because in the end, I'm not that mad, I'm just a bit disappointed. Bye guys.